This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your money, your life, your relationships, everything, all of it. We have a packed house here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's good to see everybody. And we are taking your calls on life, on everything. 888-825-5225. I'm John Deloney, joined here with my good friend George Camel. And we're going to take all your calls about any and everything.
All of them. We can't stop them from coming through.
We could.
We do what we're told.
That's you are
Hit
correct.
The buttons.
This is James' show, and we do what James says because we're in James' world. That's right. You doing well, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I haven't seen you in a minute.
It's been a little bit, and I'm excited because we have an event this weekend, and we are tag teaming this talk together. I'm really excited about it.
Tag team back again. That's before your time.
Yeah, no recollection as to what you're referring to.
Yeah, you
are
will
78 years
improve
old.
your life if you get into some old hip hop, but you'll get there. You'll get there.
Thank you.
888-825-5225. Let's go to Wayne in Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Wayne, what's going on, brother?
Hey, I just had I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and currently I'm just a company driver, but I'm wanting to get my own truck and be an owner-operator. But I'm currently on baby step 2, so I'm just toying with the idea of whether I should put baby step 2 on hold because I want to pay cash for my truck and build up the funds that I need to start my truck driving business and everything. So,
let me ask you this, Wayne. What does it cost to start this business?
Well, I don't really have all the figures as far as the total. I know at a minimum it's going to probably cost between $40,000 and $60,000 to get a used semi with that's got decent miles and everything on it. So that's what I'm currently looking at, getting a semi that's just a few years old that maybe around 500,000 miles on it.
Why do you want to move jobs, man?
I just want to be able to have more freedom as far as, I don't have to take, I'm the one that's choosing the loads that I take. I choose where I want to go and when I come home and those kinds of things, just more freedom as far as my day-to-day life goes, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, if I'm in your shoes, I want to get rid of this debt so I can not have this business be a huge stressor in my life as I'm trying to kick it off. And I especially don't want you starting this business off with debt, which is going to be hard to do when you're trying to cash flow this expensive truck and you're trying to pay off your debt. It's just you're going to be doing too many things at once. How much debt do you have?
Probably, I think around $30,000.
Okay, what kind of debt is that?
Student loans.
Student loans. Okay, and what's your income?
This year I'm probably looking at around 80 or 90.
Okay, that's great. Well, you got a great income comparatively to your debt load. I think you can clean up this debt within the year and then start saving up for this truck. I don't know where the urgency is coming from to start this business tomorrow. I know you're itching to do it because of the freedom that you talked about, but I think you're going to actually feel that financial peace and feel that freedom when you get out of debt, you have the emergency fund, and then we can start saving up for that truck and start this business.
What's the emergency, brother?
It's not really an emergency or anything. I guess I just feel the itch to have my own truck and with all the freedom things I was talking about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was sort of feeling the same way as far as the debt. I really wanted that initially when I started thinking about it. I really wanted to be out of debt because I just want to be free of all the debt before starting a business. I just feel like I won't be as stressed on the business side if I know if I don't have a whole lot of debt sitting out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love the idea of you using this desire to jump jobs to spend a year figuring out what the loads are going to look like, what your routes would be, taking time to find a good truck, and in the meantime, just using this as jet fuel to get that 30 grand paid off so that you can buy this truck and you owe nobody anything. And it feels like you're fantasizing about the freedom you're going to feel when you own your own small business. You have no idea, brother, what it's going to feel like when you owe nobody nothing. And you have a paid-for truck, and you're running your own loads, man. Then you are free to run, man. But thanks for the call, brother. Let's run. What's up, dude? How can we help?
All right. So I got a kind of a unique situation. I graduated about a year ago. I'm a full-time travel nurse. I've been driving the same car. It's like a 2005 Versa for at least 5 or 6 years, and it's kind of come to my attention that I've gotten to the point where I've driven it into the ground. I don't want a new car. I would drive this car if I could. So I'm definitely not looking for an excuse to get a new one. But since I travel, I move about every 3 months with travel nursing because I work off of contracts and where I go where the money is. I'm about $70,000 in debt, which I'm working through. And I'm trying to think. Right now, with the current contract I'm on, I make about $4,000 a week. So I'm just trying to figure out with the current used car situation, because I've been on used car lots looking for used cars and trying to find something that's reliable enough where I can drive it across state lines and lug all my life with me and not be back in the same situation I am here in 6 more months if I bought something that was about like $3 grand, or even if I can find something like that. I'm just kind of looking for some direction on what I should do.
So you're making $4 grand a week. So
yeah, right now with this contract, yeah.
So what's your annual take home? It's about 150. I know, like if you signed a contract every time, that'd be about 190. What's your overall picture? About 150 this year?
Right now, yeah, just about
175?
Yeah, around there, because a lot of it's not taxed because it's a housing stipend.
Yep.
So I take home about $3,300 a week.
Okay, all right. And your housing costs are covered too?
No, that's part of it. So I, without getting super deep into it, I still pay. Obviously, it's a little bit more of a premium because I do Airbnb and stuff like that.
Okay.
But usually, I try to stay under about like $1,500 a month of wherever I'm at, which I've been able to do for a while.
Okay.
And then I have to, for tax reasons, I have to have another house back in Virginia that I pay a room rent to show, just for a weird travel tax reason.
Very cool. So I want to get into this because there's several things here that I want to dig into. So we're going to run up into a break here, and I want you to hang on the line, Dalton. And when we come back, George is going to dig into the financial side of this, and there's some bigger picture questions I want to walk through with you too, brother. But thanks for the call. We'll be right back. George, I love being on the show with you, man.
It's a blast.
All right, hey, give us a call, 888-825-5225. We'll be right back on The Ramsey Show.
Stop paying your overpriced wireless provider and switch to Pure Talk. They use the same network as the larger providers for much less. For just $30 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data with no contract. The average family saves over $70 a month by switching to Pure Talk. Just go to puretalk.com and enter the promo code Ramsey to save 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm John Deloney, joined by George Camel, and we are taking your calls on money, life, relationships, all of it. 888-825-5225. We're going back to Dalton in Virginia. Dalton is a traveling nurse, and he is wondering about a car. His car is, as he says, come to his attention that he's run it into the ground. So, Dalton, what does come to your attention mean? Did it make an announcement that just said, Brother Dalton,
Cars do that.
I'm tired?
So, yes, I've been fixing cars with my dad since I was a kid. So I've done all my own repairs, all my own oil changes and everything, and tried to stay up on the maintenance. And it's just gotten to the point where it's come to the repairs that I'm finding that in my heart are on the horizon are going to be more than what the car's worth. I mean, the car cannot be worth more than $1,500. And there's some rattling and some things going on and some stuttering that makes me think it's transmission and things that it's like, and it's also just not reliable, being the fact that I'm miles away from home. And I lug my whole life in it everywhere I go, either every 3 to 6 months, something like that. So I'm just worried that I'm going to be on the way to work one day and it just like craps out of me. And then that would be putting me in a situation where I would be like, okay, I don't have time to look for a new car or a used car, so I have to go buy a new car. And I don't want to have to do that, especially with the used car situation right now with COVID and the semiconductors and them just being not very available.
Right. So I'm going to turn it over to George, but I will say anytime in my life, I won't project this onto you, but anytime in my life, I, quote unquote, feel things in my heart that are on the horizon that would sure be more comfortable if I went ahead and just did it now. Or sure would just, I'm going to go ahead and just buy that now. Is often me projecting a worst case scenario just because I make X number of dollars and I think I should just be driving a car that looks like this. Or I can invent problems that I could just solve right now with a click on Amazon or with a new car or with a new fill in the blank. And so George will walk through the numbers with you, but as a mechanic, as a guy who knows cars, and also a guy who loves cars, I'd love to hear how honest you are with yourself about, could this car make it another 12 months in time for you to take this extraordinary salary and blow this debt out and then go get another car? But go ahead, George.
Yeah, I'm with John there, and I do think you can cash flow this thing with your incredible income, but I do want to know, how serious are you about getting rid of this debt, the $70,000? Are you currently paying extra on this?
Oh, yeah. So right now I have probably turned, it was about 110 over the year. And I wasn't making my first year nursing. I wasn't making anywhere near this money just because I was only making about 60. And then I've only been travel nursing for about 3 months. So it's a lot of money that I've never had before. And instead of being irresponsible with it, I'm using as much as I can to just kind of really get through this so I can be debt free. Don't be mad at me. I know in the baby test I should only have $1,000. I have, because of my unique situation, about $10,000 in the bank. And the reason why is just because at any point a company can just pull my contract and I could be just out of luck and I have to look for a new job right then. So it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable only having $1,000 as an emergency fund, just because I would still have rents to pay. And obviously I'd have to find another job, which wouldn't be super hard right then, but it just kind of...
So you sign a contract with a company and you go halfway across the country to work that contract and you sign a lease and they can just pull it? I thought that was the point of a contract. Yeah,
so it would...
Do they have a buyout clause?
For whatever reason. As far as I know, no. I work with a travel agency, and then they ask me where I want to go, and they send me all these contracts and how much they pay, and then I apply to them, but I have heard horror stories that a moment's notice, they get a text message that morning or an email of other travel nurses, and they're like, hey, your contract has been voided. And I mean, I don't know how frequent that is. Like I said, I'm pretty new to it, but hearing that, I never want that to be the case. And then I'm like, and from what I've talked to with my recruiter, she's told me like, hey, if that ever did happen, we would kind of like move mountains to try to get you another job in a hospital close to where you already have a lease. And so.
Well, I'm excited that you have some savings. That makes me feel better about this situation, because if I'm you, I'm taking some of that savings that you have and just buying a car that's reliable. Don't go crazy, and I don't think you are. You got a great head on your shoulders. You're a real hardworking dude, and I want you to take advantage of this time that you are making buku bucks and pay down this debt, which you can do with well under a year with this income, and you can cash flow this car from your savings. And once you're out of debt, then you can go wild. Go get that 6 months emergency fund. But right now, it feels like there's just a lot of fear in your life. And when you get rid of those student loan payments, you're going to sleep a lot easier at night because you're not going to have payments coming out. You're going to have less expenses to cover. So if I'm you, I'm taking maybe $3 or $4 grand. You're great with cars, so it doesn't worry me. You're going to inspect that thing. You'll be able to keep up with the maintenance. It doesn't matter. Get a Honda or Toyota if you're driving a lot. We talked about this on the show yesterday. Even if it has 100,000 miles, those things will go 400,000 miles if you take care of them, which you obviously do. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to take whatever the rest is in that savings account other than $1,000, put it towards the debt, and use that healthy fear to then fuel you to get rid of these student loans with this amazing $4 grand a month you have coming in while you have it. Because you probably won't have it forever.
It's $4 grand a week.
$4 grand a week. So 16 grand a month you have coming in. Dude, you could crush this debt in 6 months if you keep up these contracts, and you can cash flow this card today, and you're going to be in a much better spot. I don't want you to live with paranoia about what's going to happen with this contract and what's going to happen with this car. That's just not going to be a fun way to live. Your job is already stressful as it is.
Hey, Dalton, this is normally when I would take another call, but can I ask you one personal question?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was your financial situation growing up?
So my parents were not to the point where they are now well off till I was well out of high school and into college. My dad was an E1 in the military, had me and my older brother, really young, around 18. So we lived in like a 2-bedroom apartment in San Diego. And my mom always tells a story about like having to like have cloth diapers because they couldn't afford diapers. So
there you go.
So definitely,
almost exact. I mean, that was my guess.
Yeah.
You now have worked your butt off to get to a place where you have the credentials and you're leaning into the experience and you're willing to travel. You're a hard worker and you must be good at what you do to make that kind of salary, and you're willing to go where the work is. So what I want to tell you is there's a part of your brain that is still living in, we can't afford diapers. That's how you were raised. That's the world you know. And if you grow up the son of a first responder, of a veteran, or a daughter, a kid of, there's also this understanding that at any day this all comes crashing down. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the ecosystem your brain is scanning on a daily basis. I want you to begin practicing, and whether you get a group of friends into this, and it's going to be tough because you're going to be on the road, whether you get a counselor, whether you do that, an online counselor through BetterHelp.com, whatever that looks like, I want you to begin to lean in and practice. I'm good. Mm-hmm. I'm stable. I have a great career, and I work really hard. And at any moment, could this come crashing down? Yeah. Is it going to? Probably not. And if you spend your life in fight or flight, which you've been in for 20, 25 years now, you're going to burn yourself out. And you're going to always be looking for the next thing, the next scary thing, the next scary thing, the next scary thing. And you're going to be lugging $70,000 worth of student loan debt around with you because you're going to be buying the next thing, getting the next thing. Just stop. You made it, man. Congratulations. You're a stud, Dalton.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And I want you to, like as George said, the challenge here for sprinters, for high achievers, for people who are used to crushing it, people who are used to running their whole lives from we can't afford groceries and, hey, dad works in a job, he may not come home every single day. Those folks often spend their life catastrophizing, running, sprinting. And the baby steps are hard because they're methodical and they're slow and they're every single day. And they're every single day and they're every single day. So like George said, crush this debt, man. Get it out of your life and begin to breathe and sleep and laugh from your guts for the first time in a long, long time. Thanks for the call, Dalton. This is The Ramsey Show. We are back on the Ramsey Show. 888-825-5225. 888-825-5225.
A lot of numbers in there, John.
Listen, my brain said, we're done with numbers. We're just going to go right to words. And I was still talking. 888-825-5225. And most importantly, I'm looking out to the lobby, and on the debt-free stage, I see two extraordinary people. We got Cheryl and her son Tyler from Anchorage, Alaska. Debt-free. Are we debt-free?
We are debt-free.
Congratulations. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Nashville. So, how much you pay off?
$125,632.92.
Wow, not that we're counting
She
every
memorized
penny. $125,632. How long did this take you to pay off?
30 months.
30 months. Wow. What was your range of income during this time?
Between 80 to 145,000.
80 to 145.
Incredible. What was the jump in income about?
I worked massive amounts of overtime, and in the middle of this, I opened my own financial coaching business.
Goodness, you're a rock star. Way to go.
And so it is. Did you sell some stuff? How'd you get here?
No, that doesn't count the stuff I sold. That is what I paid in cash, working massive amounts of overtime, running my financial coaching business, and living on a budget.
You cash flowed this whole thing through your income and side hustles and all the extra work.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
This is incredible. So take us back 30 months ago. What in the world happened?
I went through a divorce.
Okay.
Knew that we had to change a lot of things, and we did.
So you left this divorce with $125,000 in debt?
Like I said, it was more than that, but that's what we paid off in cash. We
Okay.
sold a bunch of stuff. We sold vehicles, got rid of houses, things like that.
Okay.
And then in the middle of this, Murphy was not nice. The gentleman I was dating, we were planning a future together, and we found out he had terminal brain cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks later.
Oh, no.
But when I knew this worked was the day after he passed away, I blew a tire on the highway doing 65, and it was not a crisis. In the middle of my life being in shambles, it was not a crisis.
Wow. That puts things in perspective, huh?
Yes.
Wow. And so you come out of a divorce, which we talk about all the time, and it's common experience. We undersell what a hard season that is.
Yes.
That is a tough season. And you transition out of that, and you said, you looked at this extraordinary young man sitting next to you and said, I got to make some major changes.
Absolutely.
How did you get connected with this crazy crew?
My parents did Dave Ramsey years and years ago. They're now baby step 7ers, living life. And I just connected with that and ran with it. I knew it worked. I'd seen it work.
So what type of debt was this? You mentioned cars and houses. What type of debt was this $125,000?
Student loans, vehicles, credit card debt, unsecured personal loans. You name it, it was there.
So you were basically normal.
Yes.
Normal. Wow. So you're extraordinary just in the 2 minutes I've known you.
Thank you.
So often somebody comes out of trauma like this on top of other trauma, and they simply turtle up. Where did the fire come from, the spark come from, that you walked out of this divorce and said, this all changes, this is on me, and you lit the fire with jet fuel?
I have spent 30 months trying to figure out what God genuinely put me on this earth for. And I was not going to hide under a mattress, a bed, whatever. Life is to live. And God has got me through this whole thing. Ups and downs, trials, tribulations, he's got me.
Wow. So your parents, you had it back in the back of your head somewhere that Dave Ramsey's some guy in Tennessee, blah, blah. So you got on the plan. Then what happened?
I ran for it. I figured out how to budget real quick. Love the Every Dollar app. And there were a lot of no's. There were a lot of getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take him to daycare. But we were going to do this, and we were going to do it as fast as I could because I wanted the freedom. And when you're in debt, you have no freedom.
So what was this like for you, Tyler?
I don't know.
Hey, that's fair. Okay, so who were the people who thought you were crazy in your life?
Oh, everybody where I work thinks I'm crazy. They're like, you can't do that. I'm tired of working overtime. And trust me, I was tired. I'm a single mom. I was tired.
Yeah. Where do you work? Where's your day job?
I'm a correctional officer.
Oh, wow. So you're a correction officer, coach. What are some other side projects you did?
I volunteer copious amounts of time at his school. We volunteer within our community. There's a place called My House that's a homeless team resource center. We feed into them. We do Santa Cop and Heroes in our community, which helps seniors during Christmas time.
You're just genuinely an extraordinary human being.
Thank you.
Hey, Tyler, you realize you won the lottery with this one, right? Yes. Your mom's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Who are your biggest cheerleaders?
Really, my parents. My brother as well, but my parents were behind us every step of the way.
That's incredible. So have you had the moment where, hey, have you got to drop off some of these jobs and just get down to one or two?
I've cut my overtime down.
Okay.
But I still do financial coaching, which I love. Feeding in. Being a Ramsey coach is awesome.
Have you had that moment where you don't owe anybody any money and the check's deposit and you're looking at this money in your account saying, what do I get to do with this?
I have. And
Tell everybody what that feels like.
I don't even know how to describe it. You look at all this money and you're like, wait, like now I have to give that dollar a name. Where's it going to go? Yeah. Currently my emergency fund, and then obviously traveling to Nashville.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I love that. You know, Sally Mae's name is not on those dollars anymore. It's Cheryl.
No, exactly.
That's huge.
Cheryl
you get to
Tyler's
put that
name, yeah.
towards your dreams. I mean, I'm just impressed because I feel like I make excuses, John. I don't even have kids. My wife is working here, and I feel like I don't have time to volunteer. And she's out there, side hustles, coaching, volunteering all day long while keeping this day job. How did you do it? Are you the type of person who just doesn't make excuses?
There are times for sure in the middle of this I made a couple of excuses, but really I knew that if I could stay focused, there was essentially light at the end of the tunnel. And really the volunteer opportunities I do on the side feed into me. They encourage me, they build me up. And so that's what I needed in the middle of working all these hours, to see that there are people that don't have the opportunities I have. And so to be grateful for the ones I do.
That's amazing.
Well, you are a rare gift, and the people driving down the road right now who've been kind of considering this or thinking about it, you just took away every single excuse they might come up with. And I hope you'll enter a season of rest and of dreaming of what's next and what can be, right? This type of gazelle intensity is extraordinary. You've changed your family tree in 30 months. Right? And this young man next to you, he doesn't talk very much, but he absorbed every second of it, and he understands what an extraordinary woman his mama is. How strong, brilliant, and capable. It's incredible. You've changed his life too. And we applaud you for that. We're going to give you a copy of The Legacy Journey, because that's the next step. You are on the road to being a baby step millionaire, and you can probably get there with just 2 or 3 of your 18 jobs. That'd be great. And we're also going to give you a copy of Total Money Makeover, so you can give to somebody else, and you can pay this one forward. Thank you for inspiring us all. What a gift. So Cheryl and Tyler from Anchorage, Alaska, paid off $125,000 in 30 months, making $80,000 to $145,000. This is the moment you're waiting for. Count it down.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. We're debt-free!
There he is.
I knew it was in there, John.
There he is.
He was just waiting for his moment. Tyler was waiting for his big moment, and there it was.
It was all that pent up. Now, finally, we can go to a restaurant.
I love it. What an incredible woman. I mean, goodness gracious. That makes my day. I can't help but smile seeing that family right there and seeing that legacy change, the family tree change, because someone decided, you know what, I can make some sacrifices for 30 months. In the midst of trauma, in the midst of going through a really hard season, because this stuff matters, and my freedom is more important.
It take 30 months, go through hell and back, and we're going to change everything.
Nothing's stopping her now.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What a gift, Cheryl. Hey, if you're listening to this, that could be you too. You can say, no more, I'm done. Take 24 months, 30 months, change everything. What a gift. This is The Ramsey Show. many times in the past year have you heard someone say, I wish things would get back to normal? Well, let's be honest. What was normal like for you? Worried about money, stress, too much to do, not enough time to do it? You shouldn't have to go back to that when there's so much better ahead for you. But to get the life you want, you need the right game plan. You can't just run out in the field like a maniac. You got to have a plan. So join us for Game Plan Live, our free live stream on September 28th. This costs no money. Free plan. Game Plan Live on September 28th. Dave Ramsey, Christy Wright, and George Cam will be laying out the clear plan to make all your money goals come true. Like how to find a vision that gets you excited, how to set healthy boundaries that keep you focused, and how to take control of your money so it can start working for you. You can have the abundant, balanced, debt-free life you want, and it all starts with Game Plan Live. To register for the free 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 live stream, text Game Plan to 33789. That's Game Plan, all one word, to 33789. All right, let's go to Suzanne out in Spokane. Hey, what's up, Suzanne?
Hi there.
Hi there. How's it going?
I just love that it rhymes. Suzanne and Spokane. It just made me happy. It's good to have you, Suzanne. How can we help?
Yeah. Good. Thank you guys so much for taking my call.
You got it. What's up?
So this is basically what I've got. So my husband and I, we moved up. We're actually in the North Idaho area, so we're just kind of over the border from Spokane.
Okay.
We moved here really unexpectedly last year after my husband lost his job, and it just ended up being such a blessing. He got a job up here, and we absolutely love it. And we don't want to leave. We're closer to family now, and he got a good job here. He's been able to start a business, so he's actually working 2 jobs. And I am a stay-at-home mom now. We've got 2 baby girls.
Congrats.
And so, thank you. So it's really expensive here. That's one thing we didn't know. We didn't know the area that well, but we love it. So we're determined to stay here.
Okay.
And we were actually able to pay off all of our debt last month.
Wow. Congratulations.
Super exciting. Yes. So in the midst of COVID and babies and this move and everything, we still managed to pay off our debt. So we own our vehicles, all that. And we're in a rental. But we've decided that we want to go ahead and buy, even though this market is really crazy and it's really expensive here.
Mm-hmm.
But we figured since we're debt-free, we can go ahead and pull the trigger and do it. So we're in the middle of purchasing a place that we found.
So you already have a contract out?
Yes, we do. We close here in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is expensive, and we know that, we had started with a budget that was a bit lower, and we decided to go higher because we found this great property, and it just seems like a wonderful place to raise children. And since we're dedicated to staying in the area, we wanted to do it. So
you've laid the groundwork to justify not making a smart decision. Is that what happened?
Am I questioning the decision?
Yeah, you've laid the groundwork to have possibly made a not great financial decision.
It sounds like there's a lot of emotion behind this, of just excitement about getting in a house and all this. So give us some details about the financial aspect.
Yeah. So when we first started looking, so we've been looking for months and months with our realtor. And we didn't have a super firm budget in mind, but we decided around the $450 mark we didn't want to go much over that. We felt we could really afford that and still be able to save money. But in this market and in this area where we live, what you can get for $450 just doesn't even seem worth it. These aren't even really starter homes. They're not even really fixer-uppers. And we just found that nothing in that price range we were willing to go for. So we decided that we wanted to not only do a house, but get some property since we've got little kids. So we ended up finding something, but it's about $100,000 more.
So $550
than we initially started. Yeah. So now we're in the $550 range.
And how much are you guys putting as the down payment? What percent?
Well, we aren't, because we're both veterans. So we're going through a VA loan. So we aren't actually putting anything down.
Ooh. Okay. What's your take home?
Yeah, so we are going to finance the whole thing, which puts us at about a $2,500 a month mortgage.
On a 30-year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suzanne,
And
all right,
interest
what's your
rate-
question? You're getting us all fired up
I'm
here.
getting riled up, Suzanne.
Yes.
How can we
I
help?
know. Well, that's what I was.
I don't know if we
that's
can
what I was
help.
looking
You're
for.
knee deep in this thing. If I'm you, I'm getting out of this thing if
Yeah.
there's still time.
But you've already signed a contract. So what's your question?
Well, my question is, should we focus on saving money? Because, we're in this, we're going to be paying this mortgage. Should we be saving money and focusing on that? Or should we focus the extra money that we have every month towards this mortgage and get it down?
You should have focused it before you ever got in this contract and had a healthy down payment on a 15-year. That's what I would feel better about. I don't love this idea of you guys getting out of debt and then taking on over $500,000 on a mortgage and thinking that they're doing you a favor by giving you the VA loan. And is that not a big part of your take-home pay?
What is your take-home pay?
It is. Right now, we've got several different sources of income.
What's the total? Here's what's happened, Suzanne. You have created a universe that you want to have. You want to be in this area. You want your kids in this area. Well, our kids need to go ahead and have this too. So you created that as well. And you've created a really fungible, flexible dollar amount. We just got a lot of money coming from this place and that place and this place. And here's what you've done. You've created a cloud that allows you to, A, not see very clearly and not have to see very clearly, which allows you to live in a fantasy. And now you've zeroed down in one of the, if not the hottest real estate markets of all time. So it takes a teeny tiny correction and you are underwater in a $500,000 house. Working side jobs that are, we kind of make this as, and suddenly this zeroed down VA loan is a nightmare because you're underwater and you can't get out. So tell me how much money you make. How much money comes into the Suzanne and Company home every month?
About my husband's business is tough. We can't because it's a new business, but about $100,000 a year right now.
Is that take-home pay or is that gross?
Yes.
That's take-home. So you're taking home about
take-home.
$8,000, right?
Right.
And your mortgage is going to be over about 31% of your take-home pay is going towards the mortgage, and that's on a 30-year, which we never, ever, ever recommend. We always tell people to do the 15-year fixed rate.
But you're here, right?
But we're here. Suzanne, how old are you guys?
35 and 37.
Okay. You've got a lot of life to live, and I want to see you live it, and I don't want to see you drowning in this giant mortgage payment with nothing down. I've just talked to too many people, heard too many stories, and they start out like yours. Starry-eyed about the housing market and wanting to get in, and we want the property, we got to have the yard, and the budget's flexible, and we're not putting anything down, and all of a sudden they can't breathe. Yeah. And we get calls, I'm sure we'll take one during this show, where someone calls in and says, we're in over our head, we put nothing down on this house, and we're drowning. And so if there's time to get out, I mean, it's just...
You signed the contract, so you signed the contract.
I don't know what the situation is there. If you're stuck with this thing, you may want to look at increasing income, refinancing to a 15-year, and making sure that you can afford it. But as far as paying down the mortgage, I mean, it's a little late for that conversation because we're knee-deep in this thing. But we recommend 10 to 20% down to avoid PMI or more on a 15-year, where the mortgage payment is no more than a quarter of your take-home pay. So far, every one of the rules has been broken, which just hurts my heart because I want to see you guys win. And you've worked so hard to get to this point where you're debt-free and you're making these decisions, and I don't want to see you step backwards and make a bad financial decision for your future.
But if you're here, to answer your question, yes, I would treat the 20% down as the new gazelle intensity. I wouldn't save money. I would sprint and get some sort of cushion underneath your feet.
And make sure you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months before you do any of this.
Before you start saving anything, right? You're underwater and y'all got to get your head above water first. Get 20% down on that house, pay it down, and get an emergency fund. So now we're in the books. We'll be right back on The Ramsey Show.
This is James Childs, producer of The Ramsey Show. Did you know The Ramsey Show is one of the most popular podcasts in the world? Subscribe or follow today wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your money and your life, your relationships, your marriages, boundaries, everything. We're here to take your calls, 888-825-5225. I'm John Deloney, joined here by my good buddy, George Camel, and we are taking your calls on everything. George, you doing well?
I'm doing so good, John. Nothing brings me more joy than hosting the Ramsey Show with you.
You're married.
Tell Dave. Don't tell Dave. Well, my wife can't host the show, John.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's a little different.
I like hanging out with my kids more than hosting this show with you.
That's a fair point. I'd rather be hanging out with my dog right now, but we got to work, and it's a good time. We get to help people for a job. That's amazing.
That is pretty good. I like working the show with you, man.
It is fun.
I'm glad you're in the gang.
We're a good team.
Yes.
You're great. You're great at what you do, and I try. So there it is.
Oh, you are way smarter than me, my man. All right, let's go to Nathan in Kansas City, Missouri. What is up, brother Nathan?
Thank you, Dr. John, for taking my call.
You got it. What's up?
First of all, I'm debt-free. However, I just recently tapped into a personal mutual fund for $50K, and I have a two-part question. How much should I set aside for state and federal taxes, and would I be paying taxes on the full amount that I took out or just the dividends?
Great question. So this is the two-parter. You're saying how much should you set aside?
Should I set aside for state and federal taxes?
Tell me about this mutual fund. So you had invested in some stuff just in a brokerage account. This is non-retirement we're talking about?
Non-retirement. It's something I did personally.
Okay. And what made you tap into it? Just curious.
I'm going to invest in a rental property.
Oh, okay. Have you paid off your current mortgage? Do you have one?
I'm debt-free.
Oh, you're
debt-free, including the house?
Everything.
Yes, everything.
Way to go.
Hey, Nathan, let's celebrate for a second.
Have you celebrated, right. Nathan? You're so nonchalant.
Every day that I get up.
I love that.
How old are you, man?
I'm 70.
Wow.
Nathan, congratulations, brother. What an accomplishment.
It can be done.
That's so great.
So let's talk about this mutual fund. So are you wanting to use this mutual fund just for the rental property? Would you want to just cash it out and use that as the down payment, essentially?
It would just be used for the rental, to purchase the rental property and to rehab it.
Okay. And I'm guessing that's not going to cover the full cost. You said it has $50K in there?
No, I took out $50K.
Oh, okay. You've got way more in there.
Right, I have more in there.
But you're not wanting to pay cash for this property?
No, that's why I took out the $50K to pay cash for the property.
Oh, the property is only $50K, including the rehab cost?
The property is about $30K. Rehab may be about $15.
Wow.
Outstanding.
That's incredible. You just don't hear about that kind of real estate these days.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Well, you're crushing it here. So let's talk about the tax implications. How long have you had these mutual funds for?
About 20 years.
Oh, okay. So you're going to pay a long-term capital gains tax, and for 2021, let me see if I've got the numbers here. Do you do married filing jointly or single for taxes?
Single.
Okay. And what is you're cashing out $50K of this, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what's your income?
$70K a year.
Okay. So you're probably looking at 15% capital gains tax total. So that's what I would factor into whatever the gains are. So you're not going to pay that on the 50 because not all of that is gains. So do you know how much the gains are?
I don't have that available.
Do you work with a financial advisor right now?
No, I kind of just listen to Dave Ramsey and you guys.
Wow.
And advise myself.
And you've done really well. It's just like that.
Thank you.
If you want to, I would connect with a SmartVestor Pro. These are investing professionals in your area, in Kansas City, who know all the ins and outs for the state, for all that stuff, and they can help you make a really wise decision with this. But as far as what I'm looking at here with the bare numbers, what's going to happen is, let's say 25 of that was you and 25 was growth on that, then you'd pay pay on the $25,000, and it would be 15% of that. So that's how much I would factor. You do need to look into what the gains were on the amount you took out, and then factor 15%. And then did you have a follow-up?
Well, I think you've answered my question.
Oh, great. Yeah, I would still, I mean, if you don't have a tax pro and an investing pro in your corner with the amount of wealth that you've amassed, I would do that. And you can find both of those at RamseySolutions.com. Click on Trusted Pros. I would get in touch with both a tax pro and an investing pro because I want to make sure that you protect what you've built and it continues to build as you continue this amazing journey that you've been on.
Fantastic. All right, let's go to James in Charlotte. Hey, James, what's going on?
How y'all doing today?
Remarkable. How about you, man?
I'm pretty deflated, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry to hear that. What's up, brother?
So me and my wife started off last year doing the Dave Ramsey plan and was on baby step 2. We had $105,000 approximately of consumer debt and IRS debt, and we got that down to about $43,000. And
hey, hold
we
on.
lost about $8.
Hold on real quick. You paid off $60,000 in a year?
Yes. We make between $110,000 to $120,000 a year.
Okay,
I
know you're deflated right now. We're going to get to that. But I want to take 1 second and just say, that's what's up. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I appreciate it.
$60-something thousand. It's incredible. All right, so I guess this takes a left turn here somewhere, right?
Yeah, about 6 months ago, we went through a DSS issue and had to hire a lawyer and go through all the legal proceedings with that.
What kind of issue?
What kind of issue? A DSS issue with my kid.
Okay.
And so we lost all 3 of our kids and had to get them back and went through all that stuff.
What happened?
My kid went to school and basically used an imaginative story, and they took it seriously and pursued DSS, and they basically took us through the ringer for no reason.
And so DSS is the Department of Child Protective Services in your area?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
And so they reported some sort of abuse of some sort, and they came in and did an emergency removal?
Yeah.
Okay, and then y'all went through getting an attorney and fighting to get your kids back?
Yep, and we did get our kids back about a month ago or so.
How long were they gone from you?
About 2 months.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, we haven't really got over that part of it yet, and my kids haven't either. They're not really the same now either. Good. We're going through the whole counseling thing with them.
Good. So how can we help, man?
So I lost that $8,000 through that process, which I don't think that's I would spend another $8,000 to get my kids back. Sure. But it just threw me off track, and especially with the economy now with inflation, when I do my budget, I'm just not motivated no more.
So on the back end of the trauma you and your family have just experienced, you went to fight or flight. You fought for your kids. You went sprinting after them to protect them. You got everybody back in the house, and that snow globe of your home has been shaken. Not having motivation is totally normal. I want you all to grieve this thing together, lean into that counseling, and then you and your wife are going to have to excavate what was and build something new, because you're a family that's experienced trauma. You've got this.
Life is full of firsts. As the first and longest-serving Christian health cost-sharing ministry, CHM has shared medical expenses for its members since 1981. We believe you should have the freedom to focus on your health while being supported by a community of believers, giving you the opportunity to create many more firsts.
Triple 8-825-5225. This is the Ramsey Show, talking life and relationships and your money. Right before the break, we took a call from James in Charlotte, North Carolina. James was him and his wife were on the same page, and they were just crushing $100,000 worth of debt. And we ran right up against the break there, James. And so I'm glad that you hung on the line because I want to circle back a little bit. You guys had paid off $60,000 in a year, and for any number of reasons, behind closed doors, there were some conversations at school with one of your kids, and the Child Protective Services got involved, took your kids away for a while. They are now back, but you spent a chunk of money, $8,000 with attorneys and fighting for your kids, which, as you noted, you would have spent $16,000, you would have spent $100,000 getting those kids back in your home. But now you're in the big exhale, right? Things feel like they're in ash. Am I right?
That's right.
So walk us through what's going on in your home.
Financially?
No. I'm talking about the spirit of your house right now. Is everybody deflated and a little bit terrified and exhausted and mad and all those things hurt?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, and like scared of not knowing what to expect. You always expect another call or visit from DSS.
Okay.
And what's happening at school when he goes to school. I mean, it's just what he's going through and the guilt he feels. Like we try not to make him feel guilt about it. But, I mean, he's 8 years old, so he does feel a little bit and understands a little bit of the repercussions, but not all of it.
Sure. And what about the other kids in your home? Are they upset with you guys, with them, with everybody?
Well, it was another kid involved was 5 years old and then a 1-year-old.
Okay.
And the 1-year-old, we kind of lost a little bit of bonding time with him and a little bit of development delays because he wasn't in our care.
Yeah.
And the 5-year-old just going through a bunch of separation anxiety.
Yeah.
So we're getting him treated for that as well.
How long were they gone?
Right at 2 months.
2 months, huh? Whew. So,
and normally we don't even go a night without them. Like we don't pawn our kids off and go have fun. We normally just do family stuff all the time if we're not working.
Yeah.
So they're not used to being away from us, and we're not used to being away from them.
And this is one of those hard things because you're a parent of 3 young kids, and you, as someone who loves your kids and probably the children that your kids associate with, you want a group of people that will kick the door in and protect children from bad parents, right?
Yeah, because I was a foster kid.
There you go.
And,
you want that service, and at the same time, you're on the other end of a misunderstanding. And there's that, thank God, there's group people like that out in the world. And, oh, my gosh, my family just suffered trauma, major trauma.
Yes.
How's your marriage?
Our marriage is pretty good. If it wasn't good, I don't think we would have made it through them 2 months.
Okay. Everybody in a marriage after a situation like this, people grieve differently. How are y'all grieving?
My wife took it really hard, and I was more on the anger side. So, like, when she would cry, I would, like, try to shut that down. And I didn't let her grieve like I should have, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I just, because, like, I felt like if I would have got to the point of the crying and stuff, like, I would have lost everything and my emotional well-being. And I couldn't let that happen at the time because I had a fight ahead of me. I couldn't, you know what I mean? So I don't think I went through the grieving process correctly, and I don't think I've let her do that as well. Okay.
So here's what I want you to do. You've got all 3 kids back. How long have y'all been back together?
I'd said a month, but I think it's about 2 months now because we just did our family vacation a weekend ago.
Okay. How was that?
It was pretty good, just rushed.
Okay.
But I felt like it kind of put my kids in a better place emotionally.
So before I start answering questions that I want to answer, how can I help you, brother?
So, like, I'm really, I could be debt free tomorrow. The only thing holding me back is 2 vehicle loans.
Okay.
And where I put myself, and then like when I budget to do that, like every little setback now, like I guess because the anticipation of something coming up now, it just like I can't go all in no more. Like I feel like I gotta hold back and wait to see what else is going to happen.
How honest do you want me to be with you?
100%.
Okay. Somewhere along the way, probably when you were 1 or 2 years old, 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, 9 or 10 years old, you learned I cannot be vulnerable or it'll get me killed.
Yeah.
You're a foster kid. That still hangs over you like a cloud sometimes on a bad day. Is that fair?
That's right.
And at the same time, you're grateful for the people who took you in. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay. So you live in this toggled world, back and forth and back and forth. And what you have done over the last, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay. The last 3 decades is you got real strong. Real strong. And in counseling, we call it leakage. And that's a dirty diaper term, but the reality is this. You can deal with that stuff, or it will deal with you. It will come out in rage. It will come out in anger. It will come out in unable to take a firm next step, and so you end up just shutting down. And shutting down, if you think of like one of those machines at the dump that crushes cars and just presses down your feelings and your emotions and your relationships, another word for that is it will depress everything.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at.
That's where you are. That's exactly right. So I want you to know 2 things. Number 1, your body's working just like it's designed to. And you can heal. And you'll be able to take a full breath again if you choose to. The choice there starts with sitting with your wife one night after your kids are in bed and looking her in the eye and holding both of her hands and saying, I didn't let you grieve this. I didn't let you cry, and I'm sorry. And then following that up with, I don't know how to grieve and cry, and I feel like if I start crying, I won't ever be able to stop. And what you're going to do, it's completely counterintuitive to enter a fight on your back, right?
Yeah.
And the only way through this is through connection and relationship, and the only way to connection and relationship is through being vulnerable and being honest and saying the words, I hurt, I'm scared, I'm sorry. And those aren't 3 words that have served you well in the past because you've had to be really tough to navigate a really hard row, right?
That's right.
Do you love that woman?
Yes, I do.
You trust her?
Yes.
Now's the chance to turn it all around. When you connect, you'll be able to breathe. And you'll be able to sleep for the first time in 4 months.
That's right.
And when she says, how can I help you? And you're honest with her, you'll be able to breathe and sleep. And when you ask her, how can I best serve you right now? How can I help you grieve? Because I know we're going to grieve different. And that doesn't mean you got to cry on the floor and kick and scream and write poetry to yours. That is, everyone grieves differently. But you got to be honest about what you need. And then you can go into the money stuff. But the money stuff is, the fear about the money is a symptom of a heart that is still in fight or flight, a brain and an amygdala that's still burning bright, waiting for the next knock on the door. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know, my brother, this is scary, and this is all new, and these are skills you haven't used before. And so you're going to have to practice it, and you're going to goof it up, and you're going to feel awkward, and you're going to feel scared, and you're going to backtrack. All those things are good, but your wife's got to know, I'm in with you, and that starts with, I'm sorry, I should have let you cry. And I don't know what to do. And I thought that if I started crying, I would never, ever stop. And you're not, man, George, so many of us learned that skill, right? Cover up, man, and stick your chest out and just go out swinging. That's what so many of us know to do. And it feels counterintuitive. It feels unsafe to back down and look at somebody and say, I'm scared. I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And we're seeing all over the country, man, the research on leaders who came out during the last 18 months and tried to flex and snap into a Slim Jim their way through this. They are cracking. The people underneath them are leaving in droves. And those leaders who came out and said, I don't know what's next. We're going to rally around. We're going to work really hard. And we get new information. We're going to change our minds. We're going to do things different. The people are staying. And they're staying. And they're being successful. And they're pivoting and moving. Same thing works in relationships and in marriages.
Yeah.
It's a hard season, my brother. And it's scary. And I'm sorry that your family experienced this trauma. Healing is up to you and your wife. And it comes today. Start today, Brother James. This is The Ramsey Show. This is the Ramsey Show, and on our debt-free stage, Rob and Anna are here to do your debt-free scream. How much did we pay off?
We paid $26,784.
$26,784. And how long?
12 months.
12 months. Where are y'all from?
We're from Phoenix, Arizona.
12 months. How much money are you making?
About 85 now. Started around 55 when we started paying off the debt.
55 to 85. That's a big jump. What happened?
Well, with the pandemic, he lost his job, and so I just started working as much as possible.
Very cool. So what happened 12 months ago that you said, enough's enough, let's hit the gas on this thing?
Just, we took FPU years ago and lived Davish for a long time. That kind of helped us get through like a couple of weird bumps in, going to nursing school, just having weird housing situations, like just getting through that. But then, 12 months ago with the pandemic hitting and, we just were like, this is not cool. Like, we need to do something.
Kind of go into that hoarding mode of, what do we do, because just lost my job and it's, save as much and then that money's just sitting there and we still have these debts. So we just started paying,
So you got spooked. You were like, never again.
For sure. Yep.
So what kind of debt was this?
It was 2 student loans and a car.
2 student loans and a car. All right, so take us back 12 months. Who sat down with who and said, today's the day we make a change?
It was always sort of my thing.
Yeah, the head of the organization here.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
So you lose your job. That the research tells us that the psychology of a job loss can be similar to the loss of a loved one. It's a heavy trauma.
Yeah.
Both psychologically, spiritually, to our ego, right?
Yeah.
Then your wife comes to you and says, I'm in charge now, right? What about that situation? A lot of guys I've talked to over the years would turtle up, would puff their chest out and say, hey, hang on. Or what about that situation said, you're right, let's do this?
Well, never thought that she wasn't right, and it's not, pride has to step to the side whenever you're doing something like this, when the pandemic hit, the kids had to stay home too, so someone had to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of was like a curse and a blessing, kind of,
Very cool.
To be there, and we have to do whatever we can do for the girls. Yeah. It's bigger than just us. So, and it can be very isolating for anyone that does go through this.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't like your job or you love your job, that's social interaction that you're missing out on. That
absolutely
can be very tough to replace whenever you have 6 and a 2-year-old.
I don't know, man. I know some workplaces where that's about the caliber of interaction, but I do get
sometimes.
that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you get on the program. Tell us about the last 12 months.
Just working really hard. At the time that the pandemic hit, I had been working part-time because we had 2 kids. And so just working a lot. I did Christie's Business Boutique. So I had my little side hustle, repairing American Girl dolls. And I ended up, getting a lot of business. A lot of people were sitting at home, needed repairs done. So
tell America what it costs to get an American Girl doll repaired.
Well, I've done repairs for up to about $200 for one doll. Wow. Depending on like the age of the doll and what it needed repaired. So
I had to get stitches on my live child once for about $200, and I was kind of annoyed by that.
Yeah, that's wild.
Wow,
that's a way to go, getting creative and doing whatever it took to get rid of this debt.
Absolutely,
you guys are inspiring.
And so you basically just flipped roles, right? I'm crushing it. I'm going to take care of. I'll become the CEO of this house, and we'll make it happen. Who was your biggest cheerleaders?
My parents, for sure. My mom was the one who, my parents bought us FPU, years ago when I took it at our church. And so they've always been, the forefront for us. And just each other as cheerleaders, like I would get exasperated about something. And he's just my rock. He's there for me. Awesome. Like he picks me up. Like we do. It sounds cheesy, but we complete each other. Yeah. Like it's, God put us together for a reason.
That's
so
awesome.
I really feel like, we've been perfect for each other for that.
Fantastic. And it's just, one of the things that was big that we did before, even though we were living Dave-ish, I don't personally ever spend a lot of money. I've never had a credit card in my whole life. So it's, just, kind of frugal that way. But we do like to eat out. And so that kind of, took a back seat and, start making everything at home from scratch. And
yeah, he learned how to do tortillas from scratch at home.
She loves tacos, so we got to do it.
Gotta have my tacos.
As any good wholesome person with integrity and character does. They like tacos, right?
Yes.
What would you tell people the key to getting out of debt is?
I would just say, sticking together, have your person, make your budget, be intentional with it. I read Rachel's book, and I wondered, why am I going to Target? Like, what is the point of being there and spending this money? So just the intentionality of everything is really what helped.
And then just supporting each other. It's because I've always had an issue with the all or nothing mentality, and it's really easy to be defeated whenever it's like, if it's not working out, it's like, well, we'll just do something different. Gotcha. It's like just that one foot in front of the other. Yeah. How do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So
Dave always says he reads The Tortoise and the Hare every year, and every year he reads it, the tortoise wins every time.
Yeah.
Right? What's it feel like to be debt free?
That's amazing.
It's great. Like shortly afterwards, we had some major car issues, which, maybe a year ago would have been, who knows what would have happened. Maybe would have had to turn that other way and go deeper into debt. But, you get a $2,800 car repair, and it's like, oh, we've got the money for that.
It's annoying. It's not like
exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I see two little ones, Sophia and Emma. You want to bring them up on stage?
Come here, girls.
Come on, girls.
Come here.
Sophia, mask off, please.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Come in front.
So sweet.
In front.
You got to watch because they're wearing matching dresses, and America needs to see the cuteness right now.
Yes. And I know y'all know this, but the stress and uncertainty and fear that y'all faced 12 months ago, 13, 14 months ago, because you lived like no one else for 12 months, those two beautiful little girls will never know. You've changed their entire legacy, and they'll enter into college, into their marriages debt-free, and they'll have a peace that their peers won't understand because of the work y'all did this year. I'm so grateful for you guys. So Rob and Anna and Sophia and Emma from Phoenix, Arizona paid off $26,700 in 12 months, making $55,000 to repairing American Dolls, $85,000. Count it down for your debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free!
That's what I'm talking about. While holding Kermit. I love that she's holding a Kermit. I bet she could repair it, too. If
I know
something
she
went
could.
down.
But she couldn't get $200 for that.
No, not out of me. What an incredible couple. Man.
So, George, 12 months ago, we were sitting here at the office. Everybody's a little bit nervous. What's going to happen? Where are we going? The business is going good, but running around. Take me to your house. You and your wife are sitting down, and you have this conversation. And you look up 12 months later. What's that feeling feel like in your home?
Man. Just freedom. I mean, like they said, when it comes to these emergencies and the next pandemic and the paranoia and the fear, you can just suck all of that out by being in a place where you are financially free, where you have a foundation set to where nothing's going to shake you guys. It might be annoying, it might be frustrating, but it's not going to be a crisis.
There you go.
And where they've set themselves up right now with total debt freedom with these two beautiful little girls, it just gives me hope for America. And I want everyone to know that, hey, where you are right now doesn't need to be where you end up. And just 12 months could change the next 40, 50, 60 years.
And more importantly, could change the next 60, 70, or 80 for those two.
Yep.
And their kids, and so on and so on and so on. One of my favorite things in a debt-free scream, people, they get on the stage and there's cameras in here and lights, and people are a little bit nervous, and they tell their story, and it always comes back physiologically. You can see it on their body. And they often will hold hands a little bit tighter. You can feel it on them. And then you ask them that one question. What's it like to be debt-free? And just like these two beautiful folks, they light up. Like their shoulders drop, they exhale, and they say, hey, you have no idea. It's incredible, right? If you are vacuuming your house, if you're at work and you got your headphones on, if you are driving your car right now, wherever you happen to be listening to this, feel your shoulders right now. Feel that pit in your stomach. Just exhale and drop your shoulders. That's peace. That's freedom. Find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Use promo code Ramsey to get the best deal. Rules and restrictions apply.
Today's question comes from Brittany in Iowa. I've worked hard for 17 years to support my family. God recently opened the door for me to pursue a doctoral degree with a full scholarship that covers tuition and a monthly stipend. The stipend is significantly less than my salary because I have zero debt. We'll be okay. The problem is I recently found out my husband has $20,000 in credit card debt. He also has a hefty car note. He wants me to cash out my retirement funds to pay off his debt. If he were remorseful, it would be different, but he's nonchalant about the entire situation. If I pay off my husband's debts plus pay taxes on what I would have to withdraw, it will wipe out half of what I took 17 years to save. Can I forgive his financial mistakes and still not pay off his debts so I can pursue the doctorate?
So, Brittany, here's the hard reality that you face. Your marriage is on life support, and it is about to have a giant split in it. You are taking a hard left turn into a doctoral degree with a full scholarship, and your husband is living in the past in what was, and both of you are pretending things aren't any different, yet they are. I don't like you using my money plus his money and his debts plus my debts. It tells me y'all are not on the same page. And to commit to a doctorate degree, that's a life, right? That's a full-time job. And this is going to be a tough road to hoe without support, much less somebody else that you're dragging along behind you. So what y'all need to do ASAP is you need to go sit with a marriage counselor before the weekend is up. Sit with a marriage counselor, and you have to be honest. You have to look at your husband and say, I don't feel that you're a person of integrity when it comes to my money. We're not on the same page here. I'm about to enter into a whole new adventure. And otherwise, I've just seen too many people in the situation, George, they don't come back from this.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a doctoral degree. It could be, I got a great job offer in this new town, or I'm finally selling my car because I can't do this anymore. There is financial infidelity here. He's hiding money. There is hefty car notes, wants to cash out retirement. I mean, this is just a disaster hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, on the money side, under no circumstances are you going to cash out any retirement funds, Brittany. Please, if you're listening, don't do this. What's going to happen is he needs to take 5 jobs, clean up this debt, probably sell the car, drive a beater, get rid of this $20K in credit card debt, and you guys are going to get on the same page. You need to become a team here. This is not his problem, your problem. This is you all's problem. This is we.
I'd be willing to bet, George, that he is telling his buddies, my wife's about to quit her full-time job and just go back to college. And in some ways, he might be right. That we're having these money challenges, we're having this challenges, and we're not on the same page. This is a relationship that's not on the same page, and this is a relationship that has way bigger holes in the boat than you think they do.
Yeah.
So turn the lights on, stop the dance music. Somebody's got to call this thing, and you got to go see a marriage counselor ASAP. This sucker's on life support.
Yeah, it's less of a financial question and more of a relationship question.
The house is on fire here.
But do not cash out retirement, and this can be cleaned up, but I'm more concerned about the marriage than I am the financial components.
That's right, absolutely. All right, let's go to Scott in Kansas City. Hey, brother Scott, what's going on, man?
Hey, kind of nervous here.
Hey, we are too. We don't know what we're doing either, man. Scared out of our minds. Yeah. What's up, man?
I got Dr. John. I got a question for you. It's been a long, hard road. We got 8 kids. We got 2 biological kids, and we adopted the last 6. The 2 biological girls, they're both out of school and out of the house, and really successful and stuff. Really doing a good job. Problem we got now is the next 2 in line, the 16 and 14-year-old boys. They just lie constant. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. We've had them for 13 years.
Okay.
And we went to counselors for the last 6-7 years, once a week. And we went through, I don't know how many counselors, 6, 7, 8 of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They go to one during the school now, since school's reopened and stuff, and once a week at least, if not twice. Was going to one during the week ourselves, quite a ways away, and then every 6 weeks we meet with the main counselor. And it just never ending. I mean, we've done medication and we've done all kinds of stuff. But the lying, like one of them said, you know, one of the doctors said there's no magic pill, you know, to make it stop. But how do you get to where you get them from lying? I mean, how do you make the lying stop? I mean, it's so hard. I mean, you can't trust them.
So how old are they again?
16 and 14.
So in 30 seconds, you've told me a lot of stuff that communicates your kids have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
That they are costing you a lot of money, a lot of your time. They're taking a lot of your soul from you. What's good about these boys?
Well, they're very hard workers. Whenever they love you,
that's
they
achievement based, brother. That's achievement based.
Well,
they produce.
Well,
what do you
whenever
love
they
about
love you? Well, I'm trying. Whenever they love you, they love you. But whenever they get mad, I mean, it's mad.
Okay.
They have not just ADHD. Mm-hmm. I could deal with that because I'm that myself.
Yeah.
But like the oppositional defiant disorder, you know, the TOD, and then the attachment disorder. The attachment disorder just breaks a person's heart.
Right.
You know, it seems like once we just got back from a week vacation down there in Disney and Universal, and it's like they couldn't even enjoy the Harry Potter thing. They're humongous Harry Potter fans. They couldn't even enjoy it because they're just fighting with each other. Who was going to ride this first? And they just kicking each other and elbowing each other. And it's like, you guys really ought to just be kicked out of here. You know, really.
What do boundaries look like in your house? I'm assuming that for the last 13 years, you all have established pretty firm boundaries?
Oh, yes. You know, I mean, we've grounded and everything else. And, you know, and then we've disciplined with the spankings, with the taking away stuff and everything. It just don't seem like anything does any good. The 16-year-old, he really likes to accomplish stuff, you know, with work and everything. He's been mowing yards, and the 14-year-old has been mowing some yards and stuff, and got him another job even starting here today and stuff, to where he's not listening to me whatsoever and my wife. He's not listening to us whatsoever. He just thinks that we're just, you know, trying to sabotage him. But just try to give you an example. The other day they was doing a trap shoot practice because they're not interested in baseball and basketball and stuff. So anyways, but we go hunting and we're trying to get them involved with the trap shoot. Well, anyways, I wasn't down there with the 16-year-old because he can drive himself. Well, anyways,
we're coming up against the clock, so get there to the end of it.
Well, it's just like the coach said, you know, he will not listen.
Yeah.
And finally I just made him quit, you know, and the coach and the parent, you know, had to holler at him and everything else. And it's like, he don't even recognize, or he will not admit that he did any wrong.
So Scott,
enough of it.
When's the last time you put that 16-year-old boy's head on your chest and you put your hand on his face and you held him for about 30 seconds and said, "I love you"?
Yesterday. And I try to almost every other day, and I tell you what, he just pushes back.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that attention.
Yeah,
I mean, the attachment disorder. I tell you what, it's hard.
It's super hard. It's super hard. No question about that. And there is a express lane in the afterlife for those who take on foster children. It's hard. And when we look at our kids, and so here's what I'm going to tell you. I can't answer this question in 8 minutes. You've got so many mental health professionals around you. What I want you to do is to lean in less on fixing your kids and just doing whatever you can to connect. And I know that's hard, and I know that's a trite answer here at the end of an hour. Lean into connection. You've got so many other things, so many other mental health providers and doctors and attachment, all that stuff. Your kids, your boys need to know Dad loves them. Not an easy answer, my friend, and I'm sorry I can't dig into it more. We'll be right back on The Ramsey Show.
Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your money, your life, your relationships, starting new businesses, closing businesses, anything and everything. 888-825-5225. I'm John Deloney, joined here by best-selling author and all-around rock star, wife, mom, business owner, everything. Christy Wright, how are you?
I'm great. I'm going to tell Matt I'm a rock star wife. I just got introduced on the Ramsey Show as a rock star.
That. He texted me and said, hey, tell her that, by the way.
Please add that to her bio.
Well played. Well played. How are you?
Great. I'm excited because it's a big week and a lot of energy around here.
Week, huh?
Yeah.
So tell me about it.
So Tuesday, 2 days ago, book launched. It's on the streets. I got to go to Target, my local Target here, and freak out and cause a big scene for all the employees, sign a few books, get excited that it's on an end cap, which, by the way, it's on end caps on Target shelves all over the country, hopefully where you are too. And then yesterday did media, today did media, and then tonight is our event. Me and Dave are going to be speaking this evening. It's a live stream event, and it's really just continuing to kick off the launch of this book, celebrating. You know, the thing is, John, launching a book in this world, the reality of our day, is very different now. I mean, when I launched Business Boutique in 2017, it was a 2.5-week book tour. You've got a bus that's wrapped. You're in cities all over the country, you know, day after day after day, meeting people, signing books, shaking hands, taking pictures. And gosh, it feels a little different now, you know, because it's from here and it's all virtual. So there's a sad component to it, but at the same time, we're making the most of it. So I'm super excited. We're going to have an in-studio audience here. So if anyone wants to come, there's still tickets to come be with us in person. I will sign every book. I will shake your hand and take pictures, which will be fun.
Very cool.
But everyone else can join us on live stream. And I'm gonna go through an overview of the book. Basically, my talk is kind of a summary overview of the book.
And I've heard the talk. It's extraordinary.
Well,
it's awesome.
Thank you. It hits a nerve, which is funny. I love how Dave Ramsey opens the foreword of this, and the opening lines of the book, of the foreword he writes, I tried to talk her out of it. Anybody that knows me knows that's really not that surprising at all.
I would have loved to see y'all two going back and forth on that. In case you can imagine, Dave and Christy disagreeing is like watching a fireworks show inside.
It makes Tyler Seymour, my brand manager, have miniature panic attacks every time.
Crisis and disorder for a living, and it makes me uncomfortable.
We enjoy it. We're like, wow, we're bonding. We're closer. I walk out of the room, I'm like, gosh, we just communicated.
And the rest of our hair is on fire. We're breathing smoke, and it's like, whoa.
Everyone doesn't see conflict as connection like Enneagram 8s do.
Well, listen, as your friend, I'm just so excited.
Thank you.
My book, I think, is in a couple of gas stations across America. And so to walk into a Target where they have lights on and air conditioning just seems so cool. But congratulations on this. It's such an important book and an important moment in history.
Thank you.
When everybody is completely cooked and fried and spun out. And I'm so glad you're doing the event tonight. And, man, we are rooting and cheering you on. This is awesome.
Thank you. That's one of the fun things about our company at Ramsey Solutions, whether it's money, obviously what we're most known for, anxiety, which is what you obviously have a book on. And even with this issue of time management and balance, we really take on the hard stuff and we take on the stuff that most people struggle with. This is not a niche topic like, oh, it's just for these certain few people that have, no, it's everybody struggles with these things.
100% of people.
Money, anxiety, balance, and time management. So I love that we can just help a lot of people with the stuff that they struggle with because we've learned a lot. We've struggled with it in different ways, and we want to give hope in those spaces.
So if you have been living on a rock and haven't listened to this show in the last month, give people a synopsis, kind of walk them through what inspired you to write this book. What's in your heart and mind on this deal?
Yeah, well, most people know me as the business coach. So I have spent 10 years being a business coach. I've written a book, Business Boutique, have events, all that stuff. And in 10 years of doing this, the number one question that I'm asked is not a business question. It's this question. How do you balance it all? And I've been asked this by men and women, those with kids, those without kids, different ages, different stages. And so the problem solver in me wants to lean into that and go, okay, wow, this is a major pain point for people. But it took on a new level of, I guess, urgency when I had 3 kids in 5 years and felt that strain myself. And what I have found is that we think the solution is productivity. We think the solution is I need to multitask. I need to work harder and smarter and wake up earlier and pour more coffee and have a better app and have, multitask throughout the day and stay up later. And we're tired and we don't feel any more balanced. And so I started asking a different question. What if balance isn't something you do, how you balance it all? What if it's something you could create in your life and still be busy? What if you could be balanced in an out of balance world? And what if balance looks more like peace? Being confident in your choices, being happy with how you spend your time. I think that's what we're really after when we say we want to be balanced or we want to have balance. And so I really believe that comes down to doing the right things at the right time. It's not about doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And when you do that, you feel that sense of balance you've been looking for.
We've talked about this book a number of times, and I've just heard you say something I've never heard you say before. I always feel like if I'm quote unquote balanced, let me take this to like the weight room.
Yep.
If I'm doing a balance exercise, I can't lift super heavy weight.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when I'm doing these little balancey exercises, it doesn't feel like I really got anything done, right? And if I'm a hard charger, if I'm a rock star mom of 3 and I'm crushing it and killing it and whatever, if I'm a CEO, if I'm a over-the-road truck driver and I'm putting in extra hours to fill in the blank, when I hear the word balance, it makes me feel like don't work as hard.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why Dave hates the word.
Okay.
That's why to him, it is the phone calls he's had for 30 years where someone says, well, I can't pay off my debt because I love my kids and I don't want to take a second job. I don't want to work so hard. That's what he hears.
Gotcha.
And
I think that's what a lot of us hear, right?
Yeah. And I think we swing to these extremes like, oh, you got to live in this Zen state and meditate all day. Like, no, that's ridiculous. That's not even
Or you got to be slaughtered and murdered and kill it and drag it.
Right. I think we think of this idea that everything is going to be equal. We're going to do it all well. So, for example, let's say that you have a week and the right thing for you to do that week is bust it at work. That's the season I'm in right now. I'm launching a book. Today I got here at 6 this morning. I'll be here till 9 tonight. That's right today. But if I judge myself like, did I work out today? No. Am I hanging out with my friends today? No. Did I slow down and have time to myself? No. There's all these things I didn't do.
Did you sing Kumbaya with your kids this morning? No.
Sure did not.
Right.
And so if I judge myself on my success in the areas I'm not spending time on a day that I'm spending time on something else, well, then all I come up with every time is that I'm failing.
It's failure.
And so there are millions of people walking around every day feeling like they're failing.
Yeah.
They're actually not. They're doing the right things. They're just focusing on the thing they're not doing. And so I want to help you determine what's right now, and then acknowledge that it's right and be proud of the fact that you're doing what's right. And so it's both. It's both. I want to spend my time on the right things, but then even if you do it, you still need to be present for it and be proud of it instead of feeling guilty for all these things that are not right now. So it's both tactical, but also there's an emotional aspect of it too.
It's almost it's a psychological and spiritual components.
Yeah.
Be where you are and
Both
be
of them.
present and be really excited to be there.
Yeah.
What a timely message for a chaotic world.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting this out into the world.
Thank you.
Christy Wright, her new book, Take Back Your Time, in Target, on the internets, everywhere. ChristyWright.com, RamseySolutions.com. I was going to say Rachel.
Or Rachel. I will send Rachel to send you there.
She'll buy it too, right?
What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings.
This is The Ramsey Show, 888-825-5225. I'm John Deloney, joined by my good friend and best-selling author, Christy Wright, taking your calls on money, life, balance, relationships, all of it. Let's go to Nick in Lexington, Kentucky. What's up, brother Nick?
Not much. How are you all?
Outstanding, brother. What's up? How can we help?
Well, first off, thank you all for taking my call, and Christy, John, everybody from the whole Ramsey Solutions. You guys have put a lot of inspiration in me and my family, and just thank you all for what you're doing, and just keep on. You've helped us out a ton.
Well, that's awesome.
Appreciate you,
so
man.
First off, I'm 33. My wife's 30. We've been married about 8 years. We've got a 4-year-old girl and a 1-year-old girl. About 4 years ago, we started doing the Ramsey plan. Dave Ish. Went about 18 months, did really well. Kind of backed off for a year. Jumped back in it about 18 months ago. So we've been at it for about 3 years now. We've got right at $66,000 worth of debt paid off.
Congratulations.
We're down to our last $2,000. Should be done by the end of this month.
Yeah. Awesome. And you survived a hurricane of 2 little kids in that house. That's phenomenal, brother.
Yes. She's been awesome throughout this whole time. So
cool.
My question to you all is, now that we kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel, I know once we hit that 2,000 and get that taken away, we have everything gone but the house. I know we go back in to start putting away in retirement, but, we like to camp. We like to ride. We like to, have people. We're thinking about wanting to kind of build this detached garage. We want to kind of upgrade the camper. At what point do we say we can start doing that?
Well, you can do those things once you have obviously the money for them, but there's one more baby step that we want you to be intense on, and that's baby step 3. And that's where you get your 3 to 6 months of expenses. So even after you pay off your debt this month, which is a huge accomplishment, don't take your foot off the gas just yet. You want to figure out how much money do you need to have 3 to 6 months of expenses. And that's what we would call a fully funded emergency fund. If something major happened to the house, to the car, to a health issue, whatever, then you've got that emergency fund where you're not scared. You're not scared from the money side of it. You're not going to go into debt to cover it. And then once you get past baby step 3, and you have that fully funded emergency fund, you will move into 4, 5, and 6. That is where it's more of a steady marathon. You're doing them simultaneously. You're investing 15%, you're saving for kids' college, and you're paying off your house. And these are all happening at the same time. It's more gradual. It's over a long haul. So it's not the same gazelle intensity you have in baby step 2 or even 3. And that's where, you can save up and cash flow those things. But what you're going to need to do, Nick, and this is hard, is when you get to that stage, you and your wife are going to need to sit down and talk about, which do we want to do first? Matt and I have these conversations, John. It's like, which do we want to do? Do we want to get a new AC unit, or do we want to take a vacation? And you just have to think through, well, how urgent is this, and which one, the camper or the trip or whatever, and you just prioritize it. As simple and tactical as that is, y'all have a conversation and decide about what you want to do first and what order. You save up and pay cash and cash flow those things.
And Nick, I've seen this conversation go one of 2 ways. It is a grind. You'll go on a date and it turns into I've been wanting to do this and I've been wanting to do that. And what you try to do is you try to map out these things that you want to get and attach to your old life. The other way I've seen this thing go, and this is the way I hope you will go, I hope you and your wife will celebrate this extraordinary accomplishment. You just have done really remarkable things. You've done a very rare thing. You're in rare air now. And y'all take a half day and y'all get away from the kids. You get a babysitter. Y'all go get a nice breakfast, maybe a progressive breakfast where you eat one thing here and drive over and go eat somewhere. Do something cool and consider it a miniature retreat. And begin to think about, where do we want to be? Who do we want to be? What is that going to look like? And that becomes a dream conversation, a fun conversation, inspiring conversation, and not a, well, I want a camper, well, I want an outdoor air conditioner, and I want a garage. It becomes a, what kind of people are we going to be? And I don't know about you, Christy, when I got to the baby step 3 part, these things I thought I wanted, they took on less and less importance the freer I got.
Yeah.
And it was this weird attachment I had to stuff, and I didn't realize it was a security blanket.
Yeah.
Right? And so then when I didn't know anybody anything, and you're looking around thinking, oh, well, I don't know. We'll get that later. I don't know. It just kind of let the air out of some of that stuff.
You know, it's so funny you say that because in the book, I actually quote Craig Rochelle in a similar question that you just said, because often we don't know what to do on our calendar. We don't know what to put on our schedule. And so you ask yourself that exact question you just said, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
And he says this, Craig Rochelle says, when you know who, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
And so ask yourself, who do I want to be? And let that inform your money. Who do I want to be? Let that inform what you put on your calendar, because you're going to put things on your calendar that allow you to be the person you want to be. And you're going to buy the stuff or prioritize the purchases that are in line with who you are. It's such a better question. I love that you asked that.
Well, and for Nick, it might be, we want to be a camping family. We want to be an outdoor adventure family. And for the next 24 months, we're going to be KOA folks.
Yeah.
And KOA is awesome. We're going to get a small cabin, and we're going to be saving up up and get this dream camper, or whatever that looks like, right? But it's instead of, I want that, it's, who are we going to be?
I
so
love that.
good. All right, hey, Danielle in Asheville. What is going on, Danielle?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. What's up?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I just have a quick question. I have a problem. I cannot say no to anybody, really, but my kids, my mom, me and my husband. My husband is on the road 2 months at a time. He's a lease operator, truck driver, and I work for Astronautics. And we're in baby step 2. We have about $10,000 left in collections to pay off, and then we'll be debt free. But the problem is, we are now a human ATM. I don't know how to stop it. I was brought up poor. My mom was a single mom, so I feel like I can never let her do without, because she never let me. She worked really hard for me to have, a life that I did have.
Yeah. Danielle, one of the things that I think you're in tune with, which I think is really good, is why you struggle with saying no. Like, you even just hit on it right there of like, well, you sort of feel indebted to your mom. She, all these things of what she did for you and so on. So when you begin to understand your deeper motivations, you can dig into that and start to work on it there. So I think that's one of the things that's helpful. But since we don't have a ton of time to dig into all aspects, I'll just give you a quick tip that I help people with this all the time on saying no. This is a hot topic with time management or anything for that matter. Certainly money. It takes practice. It takes practice. It's like a muscle. If you never exercise that muscle is weak and wobbly at first, but the more you exercise it, the stronger that muscle becomes, the more you can do it, the easier it becomes. So even if that means, Danielle, you literally sit down and you write out where someone asks you for something, asks you for money, and you're going to, on your own, script out your response. What would you say in that situation? You practice in front of your mirror, practice in front of your dog. I don't care. I know this sounds silly, but then the next time you get asked that question, you don't feel so put on the spot. You deliver that line and you just practice doing it. It's going to be a little awkward at first, but with practice, I think it does get easier.
And Danielle, I'm somebody who has tried to earn love over the course of my life, try to achieve it as though it's something I can buy. If I just say yes, if I keep showing up, I keep showing up, keep showing up. And what ended up happening was I would begin to show up ungrateful. I'd show up resenting the fact that I was even there. I'd show up exhausted, and everyone around me started getting my second, third, and fourth fruits, especially my wife and kids. When you got a husband that's on the road, sometimes it's tempting to try to buy your children's joy, right? Out of guilt. Yep. So a phrase that's made its way around the mental health community over the last couple of years that I love is choose guilt over resentment. Choose guilt over resentment. I would rather you say no and feel that in your body as guilt when your kid says, hey, can we go to Sonic? Can we go to this? Can we do this? And you say, no, we're not doing that today. We're going to eat healthy. We're going to eat at home. And you feel that guilt, then to drive all the way to Sonic with your kids in the back, resenting the fact that you can't say no and that shame and your kids are annoying. I can't believe I'm letting them do this, and drive all the way home and then all night. Choose guilt over resentment every single time. And as Christy says, as you practice it, you'll begin to feel less guilty. You'll stand a little bit taller, and suddenly you'll find yourself saying no with a smile on your face, and it will bring joy to everyone around you. This is The Ramsey Show. Triple 825-5225. This is The Ramsey Show. I'm John Deloney, joined by my good friend Christy Wright, taking your calls on life, work, relationships, money, all of it. And on the debt-free stage, we don't have a debt-free screen, but we have an in-house question. Our friend Mike from Fairbanks, Alaska. What's going on, Brother Mike?
Yes, thank you. Question up front. I don't know how to charge people, get over that hurdle of thinking what my time is worth and for actually charging for my time. Now, that's the question up front. The context of that is I'll be retiring next month. And so kind of want to do a dream I've had for many years. And now with the retirement, I'll have a basement on how much comes in. So the risk is gone. That used to be there if I was just to quit. So I have all the skills to do what I want to do.
Oh, so when you say a basement, you mean you're going to have retirement coming in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there'll be a lowest, with food and covering, we'll be content. So we have the money.
Okay.
But from up there, I'd like to add income with some light remodel type work. So I have all the skills, built our own house, done major gut job remodels on places I've owned. And I have done some work for other people, not pay, but just to help them out. So the skills are there. But I've never been in a position where I have to charge someone for what I'm doing. And I'll probably underprice myself. I'll probably feel guilty saying this is what your materials are going to cost. Now this is what I'm going to cost. Because my business plan is to let them pay for the materials, so I'm not their banker. And then I just charge them for my labor. So anyway, any thoughts on how to get over that hurdle?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to encourage you that this is a really common struggle for people starting out in business. It's a really common struggle for people in service-based businesses where you're charging for your time, not necessarily I'm going to sell you a t-shirt, you're paying for the t-shirt. That's a little bit more removed from the person. So I just want to encourage you, it's common. And it can be overcome. People do it all day, every day. It's kind of similar to what we were talking about a minute ago with saying no being a muscle through practice. Yeah. The more you talk about it, it will be easier. But here's what I want you to think about. So when you think about it as your business, sometimes we get all squirmy, like, oh, I feel bad. This is something you've done without charging before. So it's kind of in your brain as a hobby, a gift, doing something to be nice. So it's been in this category. You also already have income. So it's not like this is primary source of income. So that income feels like, well, I don't really have to charge. What I want to help you do, and you can think about this, is I want you to mentally shift this business idea from being a hobby to being a business. Because a hobby costs you money and a business makes you money. If this is going to be a business, the purpose of this is to make money. That's actually what we do in business. We serve the marketplace. They pay us certificates of appreciation with presidents' faces on them. So when you switch this into that mental gear of, okay, the purpose of this is to make money, then it takes a little bit of your feelings out of it because it's not about you, it's about the business. This business needs to make money in order to stay in business. One other thing that can help you, because so much of it is in our head, in addition to the practice, one other thing that might help you, Mike, is I want you to think about something that you have paid for recently. Just tell me anything. It could be a product or a service. What's something you've paid for recently that you really liked, that you really were happy you bought?
Well, plane tickets.
Okay, yeah. Plane tickets.
I was thinking of those incredible Carhartt pants. I'd hire you right now based on the Carhartts, man. Those are awesome.
Carhartts, I love it. Okay, so plane tickets, right? You paid for plane tickets because there was a value in that service, in being able to have a flight. So you would rather have the flight than that amount of money you paid for it. And the airline company would rather have your money than the expense it cost them to run that flight. When you take the emotion out of it and you see that sales is just an exchange of value, it makes it a little bit easier to charge. Not perfectly easy. Again, it's going to take practice, but you think this is not about you, Mike, the person. This is about there's a value of the renovation you're doing. There's a value of the home improvements you're doing. I just had our deck stained at our house, and I even wrestled with could we do it ourselves because we're do-it-yourselfers to save the money? And we just, no, let's pay someone. We've got 3 little kids. When are we going to do it? And this awesome man, he's a friend of ours, he's a handyman, came over, did that. It's an outstanding job, way better than we would have ever done. I was thrilled to pay that money because there's a value in the service he provided. So just a couple quick tips for you on think of it as a business, not a hobby. And think of when you're a consumer and you pay for something you're glad you paid for, that's how customers are going to see you. There's a value in the service you provide. And it's going to take some practice. It's going to take some practice. Look in the marketplace. What are other people charging for home renovations? You structure the business in the charging the way that you want to. But I think that the first one will be the hardest. The second one will be a little easier. Third one will be a little easier. Over time, it will get easier.
So I read a book recently. I'm kind of a nerd, and I don't have a lot of friends, but I read a lot. The book is called Chatter by Ethan Kross. And one of the big takeaways, he's a professor from University of Michigan, talked about how we activate our fight or flight responses, how we activate some of our natural fear responses. And interestingly, when we say the words, and this is right alongside, this is like some neuroscience that validates what Christy just said.
Back me up with some science, John. I need that.
That when we say things like I and we, it's the reason why you might be thinking, I don't know why I can't seem to communicate with my wife today. I'm missing the boat here. Your heart starts racing, you get that pit in your stomach, you get that headache, your back hurts. But when your buddy calls you and says, hey, can you help me with my marriage? You're able to rattle off, well, yeah, ding dong, do 1, 2, and 3. When we talk to ourselves in third person, for some reason, it doesn't activate our bodies. It doesn't get that shame, that worth, that I should be doing this for free. I'm a good guy. I have a faith component. I'm a person of faith, and we should just give everything away because that's what, I wonder if you talked about this is about the business. I wonder if you can separate yourself and not say, what should I charge? Because now your body's going to respond because this is an identity issue. Instead of saying, what should Mike charge for that? Mike should charge $250 or $2,500 for that. That's a fair price. And your body will not get as emotionally invested. It won't fire off the cortisol and the adrenaline to try to protect you from the shame or from the rejection that you're going to experience. And that's another key component here. People are going to tell you, sorry, we can't afford that right now. Or we took another bid, and what you're going to have to do is really practice not letting that say, that means Mike's lame, or Mike's not a good guy, or Mike's a bad guy, or Mike does crummy work. Over time, that's going to give you data about your pricing and your value and what kind of work you do, but not internalizing that, right? And weighing on you. But I love that you are retiring and heading to something. Yeah. One of the things we see often is folks retire, and then they just want to prop their feet up and just do nothing, and man, then our bodies fall apart on us, our minds fall apart on us. So that is, you're going to continue to give gifts to other people and yourself, and that's incredible.
Well, and just know, Mike, too, that if you start out and you price a little too low out of the gate, you can increase your prices, and you will, and people do, and that's normal. So don't put all this pressure on yourself to come out with the perfect price out of the gate. Start with something that you can say with confidence, and then as your confidence builds, your prices can increase, and you'll get those muscles strengthened. But that's so fascinating. You can even name the business. Call it Mike's Home Renovations. Well, Mike's Home Renovation charges this, as if you're not even Mike.
That's good.
You're just representing Mike's Home Renovations.
And just so you know, so when I go speak at certain events, like I have a speaker's fee that runs through Ramsey and businesses and colleges, whatever, bring me in to speak. This past weekend, I did a particular event at with a new group. And so I actually charged less because it was going to be a different type of talk for me. It was going to be and so I'm helping them with the price, but it's also a beta for me, right? I'm practicing old material in a new place or new material in a different place. And so it's okay if you normally do cabinetry and somebody asks you for a fence to say, I'm going to give you a little bit lower rate. I'm going to learn this. And then after this, I can say I do fences too, right? So everybody's winning in this thing.
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent advice.
But thank you so much for that question.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. Okay. Report back when you do it.
Thanks so much.
I love that.
That's
I love
great.
it, man. Christy, you have that conversation all the time.
All the time.
It's about value.
Yeah. It's not about you. It's the value. I think you go get coffee at Starbucks or somewhere. I want the coffee more than my $5. They want my $5 more than it's an exchange of value. Take all your feelings out of it. There's a value in what you're doing, and people are willing to pay for that value.
Oh, I love that. What would Christy charge for this? Or what would John, should John charge for this? Not, what should I charge?
Right.
Just
That's
separates
so
it.
fascinating.
It's remarkable. We'll be right back on The Ramsey Show. Today's scripture is John 8:12. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of the world. Mark Twain says, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Man, I love Mark Twain.
It's pretty deep. I mean, we could camp there for a while. That's pretty deep.
All right, let's go to Ruth in San Antonio. Hey, Ruth, what's going on?
Oh, well, I'm a big Dave Ramsey person, and I have your book and listened to it a couple of times. Recently, back in January, I have been taking care of my mother who had dementia for 2.5 years. Unfortunately, she developed COVID and passed away in January.
I'm sorry.
And I'm trying not to get upset.
No, you're good.
I'm the executor of the estate, and I have two siblings that are making it very hard for me. They're, you should have done this, you should have done that. And recently, they're accusing me of stealing money from my mother. And I'm not really sure how to handle it. And, I've requested bank statements so I can go back and say, oh, look, here's where this money is, here's where this money is. And it's kind of funny because for 2.5 years, they said nothing. No one ever came to see her. It was up to me to take her to see them. And now it's, and so that's kind of my terrible story.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So, Ruth, a couple of things here. Number one, I'm so sorry about the loss of your mom. Have you had a chance to exhale and sit in that?
I have good days and bad days, and yesterday was a bad day because I had to hang up on her because she was telling me that she hoped I could live with myself and that God could forgive me.
Sure.
Pray for God to forgive me for what I've done to the family. And I'm like, I took care of my mother.
That's right.
So bad.
So, listen, you are not solving a math problem here. This is not a forensic issue. I'm going to give your brother and sister the benefit of the doubt and say that I'm going to assume they are struggling with guilt over not being there for mom, that they are heartbroken that their mom's gone, that every time they see something on TV about another COVID death or another 1,000 COVID deaths, or that brings up mom, and they are choosing, unfortunately, to channel that guilt and anger and sadness and heartbreak at you. Do you deserve that? No. And again, I'm giving them the high benefit of the doubt. The low benefit of the doubt is they're jerks and they're complete scumbags, and they went and had a drink one night together and thought, hey, man, let's get our hands on some of mom's money. I don't want to go there. But you can go get bank statements and do forensic accounting and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't spend my energy on that unless they sue you. What you're trying to do is prove yourself to you, and you don't need to do that. Often when people are taking care of folks who have dementia, you watch the most important person in your life slowly slip away. And it's really painful because it's like a slow motion accident and it just slips through your fingers. And it's almost a slow motion trauma, right? And it weighs on your personal relationships, your finances, your time, and you live in fight or flight for a couple of years. And then you finally wake up and you realize your identity is different. You don't know where you are, what I should be doing, because I've been having to keep somebody else alive and okay for the last couple of years. And that's why I ask you, have you sat in it? Not in your brother and sister situation, but in I lost my mom. And it's heartbreaking. And then the two people that you would hope would rally around you are not. They're forming an alliance against you, and you find yourself totally alone. And
it's really sad because there's no gratitude at all.
I know, but listen. You're using your grief and your sadness, and you are looking for people to channel that on. What I'm going to ask you to do is to forgive your brother and sister, stop responding to them, and move on. Your mom chose you for a reason. It may be just what we're seeing right now, why she chose you. Because she knew they were immature, and they were not people of integrity, and so she chose you to handle the estate. Have you done right by that estate?
Yes.
Have you ever stolen a dime?
No.
Did you honor your mother in her last few years?
Yes.
Then I want you to go to sleep with peace in your heart. Your brother and sister no longer get a vote, and that's hard to say. They no longer get a vote. And I want you to forgive them and stop taking those calls. Stop taking the abuse. Stop giving yourself other jobs in order to make people who are not well and who are taking crap out on you to try to make them happy, because you're not. It's throwing water into an endless well. You'll never fill it up. You did right, Ruth, and now it's time to grieve your mom and then come up with the next chapter of Ruth's life, which unfortunately is not going to include your brother and sister for the time being, right?
Yeah, Ruth, I have to tell you, I have unfortunately had a front row seat to watch this happen to different families that I know. And this exact process, losing a parent, the executor of the will, the siblings involved, can bring out the absolute worst in some people, and people that you thought were so close before that happened are no longer close. And it is a sad thing to watch. It's a sad thing to experience. But the one thing I would offer as an encouragement, piggybacking on what John said, which is so true, is their behavior says something about them, not about you. You know what you have done and not done. You were chosen for this. You have not stolen money, just like you just said. You have done right by her, and you're going to stand on that, and you're not going to let any of their emails, their texts, their calls, their accusations, their hateful words that they are spewing at you. You're going to stand on the truth of who you are and what you know and what you have done. And just like John said, let that give you peace tonight, because the way that they're acting says something about them. It's not a reflection of you.
This is hard, Ruth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. And I've been taking your advice. I'm exercising again. I've even signed up for a half marathon. And
Atta girl, Ruth.
Look at you, Ruth. That's awesome.
And I've discovered this Grace for Purpose on YouTube, and I listen to that a bunch, and I'm trying to get back to that point, and it's helped a lot. But then when someone throws a new thing at you, you go, okay. So I ate some cookies today.
There you
Hey,
go.
you know what? It's
we all need some cookies every now and then.
That's exactly right. Ruth, grieving the loss of our parents is hard. It's hard. It's not easy. The path is hard, and it's especially hard when people we love throw rocks at us along the way. And it shouldn't be that way, and unfortunately it is. And it's time to grieve that loss, and your brother and sister, unfortunately, and they no longer get a vote. I'm proud of you. Oh, I'm so proud of you for stepping up and doing the what I call the basics, right? Taking care of your body and your mind, and you're entertaining optimistic choices about I'm gonna discover a new purpose, right? That's awesome. That's so great. And here's we only have a few minutes left, so I won't just get on a soapbox.
Okay.
But if you are struggling in grief, if you lost someone that you care about, which there have been a lot of loss now,
Right.
24 months. If you're feeling shame or guilt over what you didn't say or did say or what I didn't do or don't take that on somebody else. Don't weaponize your grief and hurt somebody else because you're hurting.
Yeah.
Have the courage to say, I'm sad and hurting.
How could you help someone identify that they're doing that?
Anytime
'Cause I'm
somebody's...
thinking most people probably don't realize they're doing it,
Yeah.
or intentionally doing it.
When you find yourself enraged or angry at somebody that you should otherwise love, that's a moment for you to step back and take a breath and ask this question. I got this from my good friend Jordan Bunch. He worked for me once, and I asked him once, just as his supervisor, how are you always so moving through the world so lightly? And he said, every time I have a problem, I first look in the mirror and say, Jordan, what did you contribute to this?
Ooh.
And so I have taken that with me forever. And sometimes I overdo it and I take on too much.
Sure.
But as somebody who is prone to blame and prone to point fingers, it's been an extraordinary exercise for the last 10 or 15 years to look in the mirror and say, what am I contributing to this?
That's
so if you are leaning up against your brother or your sister and mom just died and you are enraged at why didn't they, you should have look in the mirror and say, is it me that's hurting here? And does it really matter?
Yeah.
Because I miss my sister, right?
Yeah.
So that's just an idea. Ruth, we're so grateful for you. I want to thank James Childs and Kelly Daniel for running the show and keeping things rocking and rolling. Actually, Kelly's not here. We got Jenna in the booth. Jenna, thank you so much. Hey, we love being with you. We'll see you next time on The Ramsey Show.
Hey, it's Kelly, associate producer and phone screener for The Ramsey Show. If you would like to do your debt-free screen live on the show, make sure you visit theramseyshow.com and register. We would love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story.